Hey guys, it's Mike again. Hey, stop. I thought we get a little bit of noise there from the peanut gallery. The peanut gallery is Carrie. Hello, Carrie. So Carrie is my Welsh Springer Spaniel. She goes bird hunting with me. So here's what we're pulling apart today. It's the bushing that is inside of the subframe. And again, I said this is not for the faint of heart. This is certainly not for the faint of heart. So this one actually came right out of here. And I'm going to show you how to take one of these out. Okay, so here I am. So this is the bushing that is the subframe to the frame bushing. And you can see there's a gap right in there. So if you take a Sawzall blade and put the Sawzall blade down in there and then cut all the way around in between the subframe collar and the inner bushing, which is metal, and there's an outer bushing. So there's a metal bushing that is here up against the collar. Then there's a metal sleeve here. And then there's rubber in between that metal bushing and this sleeve. The sleeve actually acts as another bushing, as you can imagine. But so I'm going to slide the Sawzall down there. I'm going to cut around the circle. That's going to cause this middle piece to drop out. Then I'm going to have to go back in with the Sawzall and cut sideways into this outer bushing without cutting the subframe collar. And then the whole thing, you pry it, you bend it a little bit, and then it just drops right out. So I'm going to show you the process, okay? All right, that's step one. Step two. That was step two. This is step three. Basically, you want to tear it. This is the center bushing. Now we're going to cut the edges in 4 points. Again, you got to be really careful you don't cut through the bushing material here into the subframe. That's about all it takes. Hammer. You don't want to pound too much because again you don't want to distort the collar. push it out. And again, you don't have to cut all the way through it. I mean, you did there, but you're really just trying to cut through the top part. And there's the two pieces. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the differential or rear end differential to subframe bushings. Okay, these differential to subframe bushings are significantly more difficult. They're a little bigger, they're beefier, not dramatically beefier, but you're also pounding horizontally instead of vertically. So what I found with these is I went to cut all four ends and basically bend them in like I did with the other ones and then try to pop it out. Wouldn't work that way. So what I found is go real slow and real easy, but cut through one section all the way. And you can see how I basically pried that and folded it, and then it pops right, it just slides right out. So the other ones seem to work really well. Once you got the center out, they seem to go really well cutting all four corners and then just kind of tweaking them in and then pushing them down. This one, it seems to work much better cutting it in one location and then peeling that location in. That's done. That's done. All done. Pretty simple. So we have finished the removal of all of our bushings and we are installing some bushings. So right now we're going to be installing the subframe to frame bushings, and these wonderful little bushings have been sitting in my freezer for a day. I would not put your tongue on these. You probably would look like that kid in that movie. I can't remember the name of the movie where he stuck his tongue on a flagpole and couldn't get it off. I guarantee you these are cold enough to do that to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these bushings in. The subframe to frame bushings are the same whether it's top or bottom, so they're going to go like this. Ford Racing told me that they're discontinuing these. You can still order them through them, but they're not really going to be available, I don't think, generally. Because people aren't, well, they didn't know why, but I think it's because they aren't selling. Because I think they might cause a little NVH, a little noise, vibration, and harshness. And I think people are a little scared of installing them. I think, first off, cutting the old ones out scares people. I think installing these scare people because they have to be pressed in. I think they do cause a little NVH, but if you're going to put some serious power to the ground, everybody I've talked to tells you you need to use these. Steeda does make a set that are easier. They keep the original bushing here. They keep the original bushings in the differential, and they use inserts that stiffen up the rubber. But, you know, serious power, 1,000, 1,200 horsepower, you're going to want to get rid of rubber. And we're not really concerned about noise, vibration, and harshness. We're afraid of stuff twisting, moving around, vibrating, and causing other things to break. So today we needed to have a press. So I have a 40-ton press. You may see it in the background there. We don't need to use the 40-ton press. We just need a simple press. So this is our press today. We have a 3/4 inch threaded rod. We have a nut. We have a washer. We have another washer, and we have another nut. So this is our wonderful, I don't know, it's probably about a $6 press, but it's going to be invaluable when you see how easy it makes life, because otherwise I don't know how you would install these. So we're going to put one on the top, one bushing on the top, one bushing on the bottom. This rod fit in very well before I froze everything. The other ones, interestingly enough, rod slid right in. Of course, this is the one I'm videotaping, so the bushing is going to be a little bit of a pain in the neck. It's obviously very cold, because when it was warm it fit right in. That bottom one slides right in. That's okay. We're going to extend the rod so it comes through the bottom, so I'm just twisting the rod. I've got my washer on, put on my other nut. My press is now in position. I'm going to put my box end wrench up here. I'm going to put my impact wrench on the bottom, make sure everything is lined up, so I'm not going to cause any damage to the bushings themselves. And I'm going to install this bushing. The air compressor is going to make a lot of noise because we're still building the shop, so the air compressor is not inside of a soundproof room yet. At one point, once I've got this completed, I will run over and shut off the air compressor and we'll chat. So here we go. Okay, so there we go. We've got our bushing installed. It wasn't hard, right? So you're now seeing that removing the factory bushings is not hard. And installing the Ford Racing Performance bushings is not hard either. We obviously have to deal with very cold bushings. So that's all right. That did what it was supposed to do. I may just leave this in there instead of spending all this time unthreading it on the video. But basically, these bushing kits run about $700 for all 8 bushings. One kit is $249. The other kit is $399. I was able to pick up this kit in total for only $400 because Ford is getting to the point where, as I said, they're kind of discontinuing them for production. And I think it's because there aren't any really good videos explaining how to remove the bushings and how to install the others. Okay guys, we're working on the differential bushings at this point. Guys, girls, Mustang, Evolution people. The front of the subframe for the differential bushings, you've got 2 pieces. You can actually see how cold they are. They've been sitting here for a few minutes collecting moisture. So the front of the subframe front bushing, so the front of the front, is the big fat one. The back is the thinner one. They get pressed in like that, pretty simple. They do want us to put green Loctite on these, so we're going to put green Loctite on both, on the bosses of both bushings before we put them in place. Then on the backs, The backs are entirely different. So the backs, I believe, are set up to give a little more leeway, and you'll see in a second. So this is the bushing. Again, we're going to put Loctite on the boss of the bushing. This is the front of the back differential bushing. That is held on with a retainer clip that goes on the outside. So this will slide in. We'll press it in. We'll put this on to hold it in place. Then there's, and this is what I think gives a little bit of leeway, it's a, I believe neoprene bushing, not quite sure. That will slide inside of the front part of the bushing with the retainer ring holding the bushing again into the subframe. Once that is put in, it hits against the back. There's a collar, an inside collar on that bushing. There is another retaining ring that will be put inside to hold that neoprene bushing inside. Then there is a sleeve that goes in there, much an inner bushing. That will get pressed in. And what I decided is these actually slide in quite easily because they're cold. So I'm actually just going to use a rubber mallet to drive these home. We're going to install the rear. Done. All right, so I used my 40-ton press. I mean, I could have used my little $6 one, but we've got it nice and centered now. So we're going to put our, use my hand, I'm going to put our green Loctite on the boss of this one. Started and lined up. Rubber mallet. All right, so we've got that in. Now we're going to put our retainer ring in. Okay, neoprene bushing, and we're going to drive that in. I noticed when I put in the other one, there was a little bit of bushing material that ended up in the channel. So now we're going to put in our inner clip ring, retainer ring. That's it. We now have 8 aluminum bushings put in. Let's see, total time. I figured it was about 40 minutes to cut everything, remove the old bushings. These subframe to frame bushings went in very quickly. I don't think there's I mean, you saw, I don't think there's 2 minutes in each one. Fronts for the differential bushings went in 30 seconds each. The rears, they took a little more finesse, but even then I would say I probably got maybe 5 to 8 minutes in each one. So added up, it's, you know, you got under an hour. And that's pretty much it. Now we got a subframe that can hear, and now we got a subframe that can handle, easier for me to say than, or think than say, but now we've got a subframe that can handle a lot of power, So 2 thumbs up, on to the rear end and ringing pinions.